please take a seat.
Victorian Labor Party members gathered at the weekend at the Moonee Valley Racecourse for what was already shaping up to be an eventful state conference. Motions to immediately recognise Palestine and review the AUKUS submarine deal were prominent on the agenda. As delegates debated, Premier Jacinta Allan was preparing to drop her own policy bombshell.
Delegates, I can announce something important here today. My Labor government will make working from home a right. Not a request, a right.
Under the plan, all Victorian workers, whether they're in the public or private sectors, would be given the legal right to work from home 2 days a week. The Premier has told 7:30 that while working from home is a way of life in Victoria, there are workers who are missing out.
And I spoke to a woman last week, a single mum last week, who was working 1 day a week from home, kept her whole life in balance. That 1 day was taken off her. And she was told that 1 day was taken off her while she was on a Teams call from a boss who was working from home themselves. So it's absolutely clear that it's working, it works for families, it's good for the economy, but it needs to be protected, and that's why we are doing so here in Victoria.
You cited that example though, but where's the empirical evidence that there are many more examples like that to justify what you're doing in terms of legislating working from home?
Well, we know every day. The workers' representatives, the unions, are getting calls every day from workers who are saying that what they have had in working from home is being taken off them. We've seen the response, Michael. We've seen the response this week to protecting the right for workers to work from home being shot down by voices who don't want to see this practice entrenched as a right.
And that response has been fierce. Prominent corporate figures and employer groups were blindsided by the Premier's announcement. They're accusing the government of overreach and are lining up to label the move anti-business.
Employers want to have flexibility, but they also want to have the right to run their own business. So when they're being mandated for something or told to do something, it really changes their attitude to things. And I think the government hasn't really given that enough thought.
Tim Piper, the Victorian head of the Australian Industry Group, says the work from home plan will make the state much less attractive as a place to do business.
Our concern is that businesses will be seeing the changes that are occurring in business, not just this, but a number that are occurring within Victoria. They won't leave tomorrow, they won't leave next year, but the investment will reduce. And over a period of time, Victoria will be less popular for businesses to be at than other states.
I don't really understand why we need legislation around this, to be honest.
Morgan Owen says the 11 employees at her Melbourne finance broking business already enjoy a flexible working environment. She says it works for them and it works for her company. And she fears the one-size-fits-all approach being proposed by the government could destroy this balance.
Well, they think that they need to protect employees, which is fair enough. And I would agree that we should absolutely be protecting employees, but we should be protecting employers as well. And we have to be able to figure out what's going to be best for our businesses. And that's not something that can be blanketed approached. What suits a huge government body or a government workplace is not the same thing that's going to suit a small boutique business like mine.
The Premier's work from home plan also has legal experts scratching their heads.
We know that the industrial relations system now is pretty well comprehensively governed by federal law, and when federal law covers the field, there's not much room for state law to operate.
Joellen Riley-Munton, a law professor at the University of Technology in Sydney, says this means federal workplace laws will always take precedence and the proposed Victorian legislation would be invalid. But not before a potential blizzard of legal challenges.
It could be a long time sorting it out, and I feel very sorry for the poor old employee or employer who might end up being the one carrying the legal fees for sorting it out.
Jacinta Allan insists there won't be a legal problem.
Well, the advice we have is that the Fair Work Act provides us, indeed it provides all states with the floor, with the foundation that we can then build on to deliver working from home as a right. Some of the advice goes to looking at how our state-based anti-discrimination laws that can work in concert with the Fair Work Act.
There's also a political element to all of this. Working from home is so entrenched in Australia that politicians who try to wind it back do so at their peril. Look no further than the federal Liberal Party's promise before the last election to force federal public servants back to the office. A policy that proved to be so unpopular, it was dumped during the campaign. So Jacinta Allan would be alive to the potential political upside of what she's planning to do.
Premier, you've been in politics for a long time. I've been covering politics for a long time. At its heart, this is simply an attempt to wedge the State Liberal Party, isn't it?
I couldn't disagree with you more, Michael, because for so many people, what goes on in their daily lives is not about Parliament, it's not about politics, it's not about political parties, it's about what's going on in their lives and how we can support them to make it better for them.
Politics never crossed your mind in coming up with this announcement?
Well, of course we need to use the vehicle of the Parliament to be able to make this change.
Parliament.
And that's politics.
Politics, given what happened with the federal Liberal Party at the last election campaign, surely that would have crossed your mind in coming up with this policy?
Well, it demonstrates clearly, Michael, that we need to protect it. Demonstrates very clearly that if Liberal politicians had their way, that working from home would not be a right.
Victorian Liberal leader Brad Batten has been guarded in his response to the plan, saying he supports measures that give Victorians a better work-life balance and will review the proposed legislation when the Premier introduces it.
It was a press release over a policy. It was a stunt over substance.
Tim Wilson, the federal Liberal Party's industrial relations spokesman, has been more forthright, saying the Premier's proposal amounts to professional apartheid, with some workers enjoying better rights than others.
You have so many people who, whether they're retail workers, teachers, nurses, tradies, that don't work from home. And so there's a clear schism about what the government is trying to do. That's why they're gaslighting so many workers in the process. And I think we need to call it out. It's important that we respect work from home, but it should be done on the basis of substance, not on the basis of stunts.
Have a right to request working from home.
None of this is deterring Jacinta Allan. She believes she's chosen a winning issue ahead of next year's state election.
It means that for so many families, those who can, it gives them time back. It means saves them money, which is money that can go back into their household instead of paying for, tolls and fuel in the car. And that time and that money saving is precious and incredibly important for families.